question, first one, you want to use spots, this is a, hey, this is the appraisal on the law, that we're going to create for ed law and reasons law. So you guys can look at it, and don't discuss it, like the amount or anything. They still got to get their stuff first. Yeah, they got it.
You're right. 22.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's also somewhere on the first page. Okay.
All this meeting to order with the stand and join in the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All things ordered with the stand in the pledge. Flag, United. Everybody had a chance to view the minutes for the March 2nd regular council meeting and the March 30th special meeting.
Move to approve those. Second.
Properly moved and seconded to approve minutes for meetings in March. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Next, we have public comments. On the agenda first is David Moore.
I'm David Moore. I live at 15692 Turnpike currently. My wife and I are looking to purchase the house at 152 North Perry. And it's a very small yard, so we would like to acquire the lot adjacent to that, which is probably, I'm not sure, 154 North Perry, I'm assuming, but we would like to we'd like to acquire that and add that to the parcel.
That's the parcel behind the fire department.
Yes.
The east.
That piece of property, correct me, Chris, when I'm wrong, was part of the original blight program some years ago.
Correct. That was back in 2016 when we demolished 5 houses.
And according to that, at the time, the grant that we used required that land to sit in green space. for
5-year
5
green
years.
space after demolition.
And that's when we've achieved that.
Yeah.
Council have any questions, comments to?
How have we sold the other properties? Is that, and are we required to auction those?
Well, we'd have to get an appraisal and probably publish notice in the paper and offer it at a price. So there may be exceptions, I don't know offhand, there's probably exceptions with adjoining property owners, which David and his wife would be, so I can get you some information on that, but we're gonna have to make it a public offer, I believe. And do we have a value on it, a recent appraisal or anything?
We do not, no. When we sold the Walnut Street parcel, Julie, I believe, was that an open auction where people came in and? No. Or was it a closed auction? It was a sealed bid auction.
I was just about to ask the fire chief if
Yeah,
anyone said anything to him or what his thoughts were on it.
yeah, I spoke to Chief Moore. I've known him for a while. One time, you know, I was hoping that the fire department could take advantage of that property and build a structure on there for the station, add on to the station. But unless Donnie wants to give me $500,000 or so. You know, I looked for grants out there, build, and they're not, and they're competitive, so. We use it for a little training, but. You know, and Chief asked me if it was, you know, if it would bother us. I know a couple of guys in the department had some issues, but it puts it back on the tax bill. And you're gaining tax money off of it. You know, if we wanna train to, you know, spray water or something, we go to the high school in the parking lot or go somewhere else. But, yeah, would I love to have that property and put a structure on it for us? Yes, I would. Do I see it happening in the next 10 years? No, I don't.
So, then John, you're recommending, well, it's city property, so we have to make public notice.
Yeah, so I think for tonight's purposes, if you guys agree that you want to go ahead, then I would need to just check on it. And get back with you on the exact process, but we would explore what needs to happen as far as appraisals, as far as notice, all that.
You think it takes 2 appraisals?
That would be my first guess, but I think there are some exceptions with adjoining landowners, so, I'll just have to look. I'd be guessing, so there's 1 or 2.
And then it has to be offered at a public sale then, or the adjoining property owner. Do they have right to first refusal on that?
That's what I don't know off the top of my head. I just want to check and see if, you know, we can limit it if it's an adjoining property owner. Then we would probably want to do that, but if not, we would have to put notice in the paper and all that.
David.
I know in Newcastle, they do land bank now. Prior to that, what they would do, and I don't know if this applies here for you guys, but what they would do there is, depending on where it was in the block, if there were multiple adjoining homeowners, they would have first right of refusal. If they both wanted it, they would split it between them. Only one of them wanted it, they would purchase it, and if neither one of them wanted it, then they would go to a public sealed bid for it.
So I just need to check the process, but I think if you guys give me direction, if you want to proceed, and it's probably all we need for tonight to explore what the process would be, and then you can decide based on the process, based on the value, based on the price and all that, we can strike a deal.
Does that require a motion and the vote to direct you to do that?
I think if you just want me to, if you can verbally tell me, go ahead and do the research, I don't think we need a motion, it's not a final action. I can bring back information to you all by next meeting to decide what to do, and then obviously you would need a motion at that point to go from there, but if the consensus is do some research, figure it out, I will do that.
David, what, if any, what are your plans with the property?
Well, I don't know, I think most of you know me, and you know my wife, and you know what we've done with our properties here in Hagerstown. It's time for retirement, time to downsize a little bit, and let someone else take those properties to the finish line, but I think what we've done with our properties kind of speaks for itself. We will probably just keep it as any structures or anything like that. So it'd probably just be you know, a very nice addition to the lawn. And we would probably, you know, plan on nice fencing and landscaping and cleaning it up. And
So you're actually
get rid of the
planning,
dumps.
excuse me, you're actually planning on moving back into town then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can, inventory stuff here.
That's all I have. Thank you.
I would say then, I guess the consensus, John, would be to move on that and we can have that for next meeting.
Does that determine, Dave, whether you're gonna purchase the home or not, whether you can get the,
Very well could, yes.
so is it time sensitive on your behalf?
Not yet, but at some point it will be.
If John gets back to us, do we have to wait till the next meeting?
Yeah, right now, it's a private sale with the homeowner. It's not a listed property. So
We have a special
a little bit of time for us to figure it out, and if not, then they'll go to listers. That's the time constraint.
Yeah, with the help.
A little bit of time, like 30 days, or a little bit of time.
Month.
Right, but
Yeah, I'd say within the next month, they would probably be okay with that. I'm speaking for them here, they're not here, so.
Okay.
So
I guess if you just wanna let them know that we would intend to have a decision at the next meeting,
okay,
or at least a process, and then you all can decide what we're doing from there.
okay. And with your, the meetings here are monthly or bi-monthly?
Monthly, May 4th would be the next one.
So, and then if we need to speed up something, try to help you out, we can do that, but we'd obviously have to call a meeting and then my election and all that. So-
Okay. Thank you.
We can put it into the, we can add a special meeting.
I think we should. We would just, yeah. John, if you can get on that, I think we're having another special meeting, so
Okay.
if we can get some response.
Yeah, I'll try to get you guys something by the end of the week and we'll go from there.
The one meeting we have scheduled on the 22nd, and that advertised as an extension session.
So we can, there's enough time.
Could we discuss that first?
Not, you'd have to change the type of meeting.
Yeah.
You could add it if you want to do that, you
We
could.
could add another, we could add a meeting to that, right?
Right, they go after, you have executive session for the first hour or last hour. or
That's on the 22nd.
Next, we have Sean Lieberman from the Park Board.
Lieberman representing the Parks Board tonight. Like, as you guys know, one of our projects is, construction of the dog park down at the EA Park. So in preparation for that, we asked John to draft up an ordinance relating to dog parks. I think you have a digital copy of that. I have one physical copy here as well. The only thing I'm here tonight is, the Parks Board did review that, didn't have any changes beyond what, John already put together, and just recommended that for adoption by council or code, so.
So Sean, if we adopt that, then you guys are ready to start construction of that, or?
Construction has started some, I think, already, but this would play into some of the signage that'll go on it. This has, restrictions of what can and can't be done there and that kind of thing, so those will be posted as part of the fence and stuff, so go along with the acceptable use of the facility.
Is that drafted in ordinance form?
It is.
Good.
Thanks, John.
We can adopt it or introduce it tonight, right?
Yes.
You can suspend the rules and pass it if you like, you can introduce it and pass it next month if you prefer.
We can pass it straight through tonight by suspending the rules.
Suspending the rules and unanimous vote, yes.
But just all the motion and suspend the rules and adopt it. I would move that we suspend the rules and adopt ordinance number 2025, doesn't have a number on the backside of it. Is that right? Says 2025. on
Yeah.
there.
Well,
It was
that's the
drafted,
draft, so it would be
drafted
number
last
whatever.
Okay,
You know,
so
whatever.
ordinance number 2026, what? Three. As presented by the Parks Board, suspend the rules and move to adopt.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we suspend the rules to adopt ordinance number 3/2026 regarding the dog park at the within the town of Hagerstown, Indiana for management and operation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
So John, do you just have to change the heading on that, or do we?
I can change it, and then you all, I mean, you all can sign the signature page and we can get a new front to it.
I have a question. If it was drafted in 2025, can it still be a 2025 ordinance?
We could be a 2026 ordinance, sure.
Okay.
That was a good answer.
Right, grab the ordinance every year and charge you for it.
Any further public comments? Next, we have an agreement for sale of the bucket truck. This comes by way of Cambridge City. I think, John, this was on your desk first.
Yes, so Attorney Bob Beaver out of Richmond drafted that, and that's the process that he would like to follow. I reviewed it, I think it's fine, and Cambridge City's already passed it. So this would just finalize, it's the $15,000 for the bucket truck, and then we could finalize that transfer.
I guess I should ask you, since I work for the town of Cambridge City, do you want me to sustain from that vote?
I think, yeah, I would say it's a potential conflict. I would abstain from the vote. The minutes reflect that.
I make a motion that we accept agreement that was prepared by the attorney of Cambridge City for the sale of the bucket truck, presented to town council for $15,000.
Second.
No.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the agreement for the sale of the bucket truck, Cambridge City, for $15,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? And one abstention. Next, we have ordinance number 2/2026, the wage and salary ordinance. It's like the only thing changing here is the electric utility lead. Okay. That's what I see.
He's one step closer to completing his lineman training. He has one last class to make.
And then the park raised it to $15,000. That's just the two changes.
What were their seasonal, Julie, do you remember?
What was it before?
Yeah.
12.
Well,
It's the same as last year, isn't it, Julie? I think.
no,
Or
they,
seasonal.
No,
they raised it.
That's just Barcelona. Okay, gotcha.
So, and then on Joe, when he completes the final stage, then he gets another bump on that. Is that how that goes?
I
Or,
think that's something we probably need to discuss at the executive session coming up.
okay.
I think that was something we already decided on back last year, right? I don't know if there was numbers assigned to it, but I think there was at least a consensus that we were gonna,
Yeah.
I don't remember the numbers, but could have been, but
I think there was, I have to go back.
you have to go back.
So he has one class to complete this coming week, and then if he completes that, he is a certified lineman.
Okay. So this is the increase that we discussed that we was going to do. I don't remember.
I think, from my understanding, each section that he completes, he gets a raise per that completion.
Correct, yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Joe, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he completed a section like 2 or 3 weeks ago and he got a raise then, and he still has this stuff.
So then we have another section to go, but he's getting ready to complete that.
This is the final section right now. Yeah.
So are these
getting-
retroactive to the date you pass? Are you gonna retroactive that? Yes. Okay.
Retroactive to that time, to the
That's
time
the date that he
period,
passed.
the time period after passing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept the wage and ordinance, salary ordinance, 2-2026, effectively 3/21, as presented by, clerk treasurer for the electric utility lead and for the park seasonal employees.
Second.
The proper moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 2, 2026 regarding wage and salaries as effective 3/21/2026. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Next, you should all have in your stack a sewer credit for 364 West Harrison Street.
All right, so it's just for 1 month, Gretchen figured that for just the sewer would be $56.60. Credit for the April bill.
Is this the one we credited last month too?
No.
No, it's not, different one.
Somebody received for it.
No.
Any word on what the problem was or?
Toilet.
Yeah.
Toilet.
Make a motion that we approve the sewer credit for $56.60 for 364 West Harrison Street.
Second. Yes.
So proper moved and seconded to approve sewer credit for $56.60 for 364 West Harrison Street. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Next up, John, what do you have from your desk? Anything further for us?
Well, I was looking at Chris's report and realized I still need to get the poll attachment agreement, so I just emailed a colleague on that, so hopefully we will have that here in the next few days. And then I know Chris, again, in his report, is working on the signage for the railroad crossing. Have you heard anything else on the Norfolk Southern?
They sent me a legal case study of I don't know, did I forward that case study to all of you about, about an accident that occurred on railroad tracks in Biloxi, Mississippi, I believe.
Yeah,
And it was a low ground clearance charter bus that got stuck on the tracks. And, you know, like I sent back in the comments, I think that's a very different situation because that was a single set of tracks and a street. So it was dependent on the street grade crossing of the tracks. However, this is a totally different scenario. This is the grade distance between the 2 railroad tracks that they were claiming are theirs. So, you know, we
can't interfere with that grade.
it's not really
Right,
comparing apples to apples. They still recommended that we put up signs. My issue with we've already put up several signs down there. I feel like they need to be the ones putting up signs on their big cross arms that go up over the street. You know, I think that would be a more effective way of communicating via signage than us sticking more signs along the side of the street.
Yeah, did I remember the email correctly? Are they still trying to determine ownership of that?
We sent a map that I think pretty much confirms that it is their ownership for the second set of tracks. And that's a map that Bob Warner was able to find it, and Bob could discuss that a little bit because he's working with Kramer Engineering on the tracks down there. But there's not been anything in writing yet where they say, yes, this is definitely our Norfolk and Southern tracks. I've not seen anything like that.
I guess, again, my question is, I know it's difficult.
Yeah.
If they determine ownership to that, how far back are they responsible for? Like NDOT has the intersection so far back in the intersection. How far back are they responsible for
See,
off those
and
tracks?
their position on this has been entirely different than their position when we were working on the park, the trail to the park. In that situation, they wanted, I think it was 50-foot right of way back from on either side of the tracks, and we actually had to pay them, I want to say $38,000 to put up some signs, and it doesn't look real good what they did, but we had to pay them a significant amount to do that little portion between the rail crossings, because they were claiming that was their turf. And so it's a very different story that they're trying to give us on this set of tracks. I don't really understand that. We do have, or I will say, I won't say we do have, there is storm drainage that's right down there. So Washington Street all drains down to the tracks and then under, which, yeah, I think engineering wise, Bob and I both said that probably is ours. I mean, it does have to do with the street, and there's water flowing off of our streets to that. But besides that, the grade.
The bottom line is, even if they claim it's theirs and they decide to come in and fix it, it's still gonna require us to change grade and probably do some engineering down here on infrastructure.
Correct, yeah, yep.
So, John, have they set a precedent? I mean, they were pretty adamant on the path to the park, what we had to do to get that done, and they set the rules. That was their rules. They had ownership on this much. So how can they set the rules there, and we abided by the rules and paid them by their rules? And now just a mile down the track, the rules are totally different. I don't agree. I think they set their own precedents, and we can show where they set them. We can show where we paid them. I just don't think this is right. I think they have to follow through with that. Or they need to give us all of our money back plus interest at 6%. Since we paid them on the other thing. You just can't have both sides of this.
If they're claiming 50 feet of right of way on either side of the track, then part of our auto cars building is sitting on their right of way.
Right, so we can't, it's probably not quite an apples to apples comparison, because it's gonna depend on how they acquired the land by the trail. And obviously is pretty much vacant land in that right of way, so they can claim that, and it should tie back to a valve map or how they began to operate that railroad. And obviously it's different in town because they don't have 50 feet of right of way. Or they, somewhere along the line, they've allowed AutoCar to build on that, but that's where we get into, title searches and figuring out exactly what they have and all of that, which I think we would argue we've kind of done in town, and we believe it's theirs. They're saying it's theirs, but they want.
I think, Bob, you got the valve map that you think?
The valve map shows where the right of way is. And then on the bottom corner of the valve map, it says it tells who owns the spurs, and they own the spurs.
Mhm.
It's pretty obvious to me that it's theirs.
Right.
If you just look at that portion of it.
I mean, bottom line, at the end of the day, the town and the railroad are gonna have to work together if we want a really good solution of the grade and the sewer and drainage and all that. Whether or not we're gonna do that through litigation or cooperation is yet to be determined. Litigation would be, I'm sure, expensive, and the railroads, are known bullies as far as throwing their weight around, but I mean, we have to have a safe crossing.
What was the recommendation? Just close the street?
That was their initial recommendation. Yeah, that was the initial recommendation. It's just, that's the major ambulance route between the airport and the downtown, it's not, I said, that's not an option. We can't do that. So. Then I think the latest was, can you close it to truck traffic? Which then, I brought that back to you guys, and you guys say, if we put up signage there, then that's pretty much throwing it back onto us to regulate that and watch and make sure that there aren't trucks going across the tracks, and we don't have the manpower, nor should we do that,
Yes, like I said, we had a horse trailer that dragged.
Yeah, you said that, yeah.
Not all of them, but the longer horse trailers would drag on that.
Yeah.
I guess it would just be nice for them to give us something that they say they're gonna take ownership, and I guess when they have a situation out there like in Ohio, and it cost them hundreds of millions of dollars, because they didn't wanna spend $100,000, and it relieves us of all responsibility.
My question is, if we're putting the signs up saying not to go through there, then we are assuming the responsibility of that.
That's why we haven't put them up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our street,
They're railroads.
it's a known danger to the town.
Yeah.
We know it's there, we know it's a danger.
I like what Chris says. I mean, supposedly it's their railroad tracks. They're saying they're railroad tracks. We have no say what goes on them. Then if they want signs, they can put them on their arms that come down. So railroad tracks, their signs. But they can't shut the road down,
No.
and I don't think they can limit truck traffic there.
I don't know, there's some part of me wants to go ahead and put some signs up there because we're doing our part to notify. So you look at it from that context, hey, we know this is a danger. We're warning our people traveling our streets that you're about to approach a dangerous intersection or road hazard. We're doing our part. If we ignore that and we sit here in an open meeting, talk about that is a dangerous spot and we ignore it, then I think that's liability.
There's the two low boy crossing lines there on either side of the tracks that have been there ever since I've been town manager, and then we put up those additional 3 signs trying to divert traffic.
So we've tried, we've done our silence, right? I mean,
Yeah.
So we even added signage down to the Wyatt here
Correct.
and South Street.
Down by West Springs, we had a sign down there to try to divert traffic back up by the soccer park rather than across the tracks.
You know, from a police standpoint, the signage is only effective if people abide by it. How many times have you seen somebody go the wrong way right here on North Plum Street? So, and that's clearly marked as one way,
Yeah.
so.
I do think one thing, and I did bring this up in the meetings, I think Autocar probably needs to reassign an address to their shipping yard on Factory Street, because I wonder how many semi-truck drivers are plugging into GPS on their car and it sends them to the front, which then they have to do street correct, and then they have to cross the railroad tracks in some fashion and come back around to the shipping yard. So I did bring that up, and I have brought it up to Autocar, and I don't know, that might help to eliminate some of it. As far as truck traffic arriving at Autocar, but there's still going to be, as Donnie said, there's always going to be horse trailers crossing down there, or low boys with backhoes or that kind of thing.
So where did you leave it with them? I forget. Is there a follow-up meeting scheduled, or are they?
So the last March, I think 12th or 15th was the last correspondence with them, and that was when they sent me the case study, and I sent the rebuttal and sent you guys the case study, and I've not heard anything since that.
Okay.
Anything else from your desk?
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Liaison reports from departments, boards, and commissions. We'll start with Parks and Recreation.
Park Board met on March the 9th. Officers for 2026, Mr. Lieberman is president again. Tim Reagan is vice president. As Sean mentioned earlier, the fence is up at the dog park. There was a discussion about the dog ordinance or park ordinance, which we just approved. And then really the only other thing, the park board would like to see additional electrical outlets installed over at Miller Park for the Christmas decorations for Hometown Christmas. Anything else that I missed, Sean?
Top of my head.
Thank you.
Chris, I know that was a conversation already we somewhat had about the electric over there, so I think we'll take a look at it.
Yep.
Thanks. Police Department, Keith.
Got a couple things. First of all, last wind that come through destroyed our gate down at the firing the range down at the airport. I've got someone's gonna repair that. So it wasn't to the point to where it was like work turned into the insurance, because it was less to repair it than the deductible itself. So we're just gonna handle that ourselves. You got a report I sent you out on the first, our call volume this month did go down, which is always a good thing. We had 168 calls last month through the call center, through dispatch center. And then the last thing I have is, the SRO contract was approved by the school board, the last one. The only change from the previous ones, was before we had a 3-year contract, now we're gonna do it annually. The reason for that, talking, with Ms. Schaefer is the previous one that was 3 years, it had a built-in raise each year for the SROs. So, the decision was made to do it annually, so at the end of each year, the raise part for the SROs can be, looked into, negotiated, et cetera, instead of having a set one. School, just like everybody, you know, they don't know from year to year what the budget's gonna look like, so this allows, a little freedom to reevaluate that every year. Other than that, everything was the exact same as previous ones. I do have, the original contract here where the school board to sign it, and, it just needs signatures from the council members, and then I'll turn that back, into the school. I'll leave that with you guys. You have any questions on this?
So you're talking about yearly, you mean calendar year or?
But be school year, I'm sorry,
Okay.
which all goes to the end of school. So, that new one there will take effect this next school year, beginning in August of 26, running through 26, 27 school year. And then it'll be reevaluated before, each school year, just as far as the raises. Because one of the discussion was, didn't want lock a raise in, for example, for the SROs, and then the school corporation not be able to give teachers a raise. So they wanted it to be open to where they, you know, that it was comparable across the board for all the schools. But other than that, there was no changes to contract from previous. And that's all I had. Yes, for this year, yes, coming. Yes, there is, that'll be part of this new contract for next year. So there is a raise in that one for the 26, 27 school year. And then it'll be reevaluated moving forward.
Any comments, questions?
Yeah.
Fire department, Rick.
March was a busy month for us, had 27 calls for the month. But for the first time, fire calls outdid the EMS calls. We haven't done that in a long, long time. I don't expect that to last. So, I want to thank our 2 instructors we have on our department, Alan and Wes Shepherd. They took a group of us, our guys up at, to the training center at Winchester, went to the burn house up there, did some live burns, and showed the guys how flashovers and things that, and they all had some great training. I talked to a lot of them, and they really enjoyed going up there. Still, no word on when the county's gonna start their 800 system. We've got the radios.
We just discussed that last ops board, they're saying, in fact, they're hoping for June.
Yeah, they were for November last year too.
Well, it's supposed to be the end of April on that.
November, then December, then February, and then now it's going to be June, so. Okay. It would happen to that, so but we'll be ready for it. We do have our grass truck back in service. We had some heavy duty springs from the back end of it. We're still having issues with the diff on a diesel exhaust on it, so we'll continue to have that. So we'll just have to deal with it. I think our 6.3 developed a small oil leak. So we're gonna have to get it in the shop. It's due for service, and we're gonna figure out where that leak's coming from. So, as for members, we added one for probationary status, and we lost one because they moved out of out of the area, so. I did get with John about a couple things. One was we passed a ordinance a few years ago, was fire department charge according to what state statute says. Those state statute has changed. They've increased the amount that we can charge. And they've been changed the things that we can charge for. So, usually we just charge for the auto accidents because it's considered a hazardous material, if it leaks brake fluid or antifreeze or something like that, but that's no longer the case. It does not have to be a hazardous material spill. So, I asked John to work on an ordinance that our ordinance reflected that, the increase in what we can bill for now. And, in some way that we can put in there where if the state changes it next year, we don't have to go back and revisit and change the ordinance again. And I don't know if we could do something or let us find people for the burns. Got a gentleman out east of town or west of town who, we've been out there twice in the last month. He likes to burn, but he only wants to burn when the wind's just setting on out. So, this last time if we got into the woods, it would have been, we would have not got that. So, you're putting us at risk, our guys at risk, our equipment, our, first time we were out there, that we got our truck hung up a couple years ago, same place. And Cameron just about got their new truck hung up a couple of weeks ago, and then we got ours hung up last time, which was about a week ago out there. So if it's got a wet area inside the field that, if you don't know where it's at, you're gonna get hung up in it. So when I talked to the gentleman, I told him over and over about burn on windy days, he just continues to do it. And he's not new. So if there's a way that we can, we're done talking, you do it again, then it's gonna be $100 fine or $50. So, we've got a lot of people, and on these nice weekends, people are cleaning their yards up. And I've noticed a lot of people burning. They'd have to stop one a couple weeks ago. Gentleman didn't know that we had a burn. He was new to the town, and his wife didn't know we had a burn. So he immediately put it out. He understood that there are people that just continue to, we know you got a burn ordinance, so. And it's in black and white on the state fire marshal's website, Department of Homeland Security, on the Indiana burn law. But you can burn what you can't burn. So if people want to know that, they can look it up. It's pretty simple to get on that. Department of Homeland Security with that Indiana burn law, right there in black and white. We've been pretty lenient with stuff like that, with recreational fires, people want to set out back, but there's rules on what a recreational fire is. So that's just something to think about for the way we can kind of stop it at. And I don't know if we'll ever stop it, but it's just to put some teeth behind it, not just to have me telling the owner, hey, you can't do that. So, and it's all I got.
Any comments, questions? Airport board, right?
The arena and the tower have been removed. Looks a lot better now, it's been reseeded, so we should have additional parking for the Fourth of July since we returned people away last year. And the survey is about done, so we'll be moving forward with the harvesting of the trees for sometime during the summer. So
Advisory plan question.
We had a fairly short meeting. Tom gave us an update on a whole bunch of properties that he's been working on. Becky and Brian are reviewing our comprehensive plan. I think they have until, technically it was like June of 27. Is that right?
I have to go look again.
I got you, Johnson. So comprehensive plan has to be viable or updated every 5 years. so that you still qualify for grants, in the community. So it's been time's been getting away from us, so we really need to evaluate, update the comprehensive plan, and then that comes to town council for them to read and to evaluate and see if they want to make any changes in it. And then give the final, do the final draft, which, remember, it's actually in the cloud. So then that falls back on Sean. He's the only one that knows how to get in there and really make the changes. And as you can tell, I heard he's president of the park, president of school board. So I don't want to just, cram him right up to the final day. So it takes a lot of time to study that. So Becky and I have kind of been on that thing from the beginning. So we're going to take a close look at it, bring recommendations to the plan commission meetings so they can have input and add or take away, and then try to get it put together by the end of the year so that it can come here. See if you want to add or make changes. Hopefully get that done by the end of January so that then Sean can get it all updated. And then I know Dylan is really working on the website as well, and that is connected to that website. So it's nice timing. That'll be updated, and when people go in and look at the comprehensive plan, they'll see that it's updated and kind of go along with the whole process here. But we just need to really make that a priority this year, or we're going to get in trouble and it's going to get outdated.
We talk about this all the time. I mean, comprehensive plan, are we mandated to follow the plan, or is it just a plan that just sits there with no action? Are we mandated to do something in that plan
I don't,
for grant purposes? I guess that's my.
I don't know if mandate is the exact word, but what we try, so how that was always supposed to have been done or was done in the past is that comprehensive plan would put it together, come to town council would approve it, but then town council would monitor it. And then what happened is in these short meetings, they never looked at it. It got outdated. It didn't get done. So the last two times ago, or 10 years ago, it was decided that town council always has to approve it, but it will go back to the plan commission to review it, make sure it's updated. So like when you, like this water infrastructure is a big part of the comprehensive plan. That's one part of it. So when we do the appendix or the updates, we add that to the update that, hey, this was part of our comprehensive plan. This was one of the projects that we did in this year. I think we normally kind of maybe put the cost or where we got the grant from, so that when grant people go in and see or look at our comprehensive plan, they can see that we've been very active on the different areas of the comprehensive plan. And we're, no, do you have to do everything in it? And no, but it's just where.
It's our guidepost, right?
Yeah, yes,
It gives
yeah.
us direction, and for us in the Parks Board, it gives us like, what kind of projects do we want to take on, and how do we want to evolve things, and it just makes sure we're kind of marching to the same order until.
So is it the plan commission's job then to say, bring something to council saying, hey, this is in the comprehensive plan, it's been ignored for the last 10 years, we still think it's important, put it back on the table, let's have a discussion about it. And if it's changed, if priorities have changed, then you remove that from the comprehensive plan?
Right, yeah, that's what we would,
Okay.
if something's sitting there stagnant, hasn't had any movement, or doesn't look like we're moving towards that anymore, we want to talk about that and say, hey, is that really still one of our goals, or do we want to change that?
Or flip side, do you bring something and say, hey, this is a high priority, we're gonna get on this, here's why.
And it's something we'll discuss, like childcare is always a big issue, and we always, every couple of years, okay, who are the childcare providers in Hagerstown? We have one closed and one open, and so we're able to have a discussion about that way.
And I was gonna chime in with Chris on that too. One thing that's really changed is when we updated the you know, like childcare, what's available and what programs, and the library plays big in that too, and the school and care. But since we've updated that, the school has offered now a program for preschool and stuff like that, and that's not been updated in that plan, and we need to, just the different areas, some of it town council doesn't have a lot of, it's into the schools and it's.
We don't no longer have Head Start, but we have a school program and things like you're saying, things have changed.
So some things town council doesn't have to get involved in, but we talk about, so like, in one thing is developing our youth. So we look at, there's things in there, in our comprehensive plan about interns for youth and stuff. And we look at this and we say, we've not done very good in this. So how do we get more involved with the town to find interns for kids and things?
It's beyond infrastructure. issues.
Yeah, yes, it's all involved.
Education.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's as much for, prospective businesses and people that want to move, just to see like what's important to our community, where are we wanting to invest and grow, and where, what's not part of our plan, so. And Dylan, I had checked, it's November of 22 was their last update, so you got, not to give you more time, but yeah, till November.
And then the last thing was that Tom has been working through the members of the planning commission and the BZA to make sure that all of the seats are filled in each area. The 2 mile fringe and in town will have the equal representation. That's all you.
Any comments, questions? Yeah, Chris, your report.
Alrighty, I'm gonna run through my entire report and I'll let Bob Warner touch on the water line project, which is pretty much finishing up. Our wastewater treatment plant, Banning Engineering, we hired them to do the mapping of the manholes, and they've started on that. We're still considering various options for resolving the wastewater treatment plant clarifier cleaning issues. I think that's something we can discuss more at the upcoming work session if we have some time. We hired ECI contractors. They're going to come in and televise the wastewater lines. We're kind of doing it a la carte, paying as we can afford, trying to get as much of the town done as we can. The water department, the replacement portion is all completed. Indiana Earthworks is restoring the streets, curbs, and lawns now. We have had some unexpected things happen during the water project. We had some discoloring iron issues on Lexington Lane with the last 3 houses down there. Most of our lines are in a circular fashion, and that is a dead end line there. And so we have installed a blowout where we can drain water off of that if there's water clarity issues down on that. And it's interesting because Lexington Lane comes directly off of the line on 38. It does not go in around under Grayson Heights like the rest of the water line does. And so it comes in right where they were doing the booster station work. And so we think somehow something rust-wise got loosened up and went down to the end of the line. So we're going to monitor that really closely. We've also had some interesting water service lines that didn't run quite like we thought they would. I think one of them was across from the funeral home where we thought it was going to come off of Washington Street and actually came out of the alley that came off of the florist, that came off of Walnut or somewhere, something or other like that. So we've had a couple situations like that we've had to work through with the water line project. Our utility employees replaced the valve at the base of the water tower. They did that on the same day that the water lines were shut off on the south side of town. And that was a really large project for them to take on, but they were successful at it. So that's great. Electric department, we've already covered a lot of the items there. They've been assisting the water department quite a bit. I did have some minor power outages due to some trees and high wind issues. They are continuing to work on the Grayson Heights underground project. Streets department, Brittany's been trying to maintain the streets as well as she can. Everything's been torn up from Miller Pipeline, from the water project, but she's been doing a good job trying to keep it as nice as we can. As I said, up there in the upper part, Indiana Earthworks is working on repaving and fixing all that. And then I'm going to be applying for a community crossings grant in July, and I'm hoping that we'll have enough money to do every street that was messed up from the water line project. I'm hoping that we will.
Like totally redo them.
Like to totally redo them, yeah.
Will that include curbs and some of them are not? That's just looking at
Depending
Washington
on the
Street today, it's
funding,
like,
depending on the funding.
if we
Yeah.
could redo Washington Street again, even if you grind it down an inch or two, there's virtually some spots that don't have curbs, and we know that, we've talked
Correct,
about that.
correct, yeah, and that's always something that we're working on. And the community crossings, they will, for our community, pay for 75%, and it will be streets and curbs, or, you know, asphalt and the concrete, so. We'll have to, I'm having to look at the budget numbers again with that, so last budget we had. Milestone did some budgetary work for us back in, it was either November or December, and as you know, petroleum costs have all gone up since then, so.
We were just, we've talked about it before, it seems like a lot of times when we do the curves, we got like a half a block, get rid of
Correct.
curves. The rest of them doesn't have it, I mean, it's virtually even with the roads, so maybe moving forward, we look at that, maybe we just, when we do that, the entire project, so it doesn't look patchwork.
Yeah.
And I understand
yeah.
funding's an issue, but I think we need to take that into consideration when we start doing that, because aesthetic purposes and functionality.
It improves the appearance greatly, you know. like-
But functionality too, and if part of that is to prevent water
Correct,
from running up onto somebody's property or water running across property onto the sidewalk, creating
Yeah.
a slick spot during the winter, I mean. So,
it's, the cost wise, we'll have to look at some of the numbers and show you, because the cost is, it's not cheap, but you know, we can, yeah, we'll look at that.
So would it be advantageous? I mean, community and crossing grant has been there for the last few years, but it's never guaranteed it's gonna be there forever. Is it a 75 or an 80%?
For our size of community, it's 75-25. For Newcastle, it'll be like 50-50.
So would it be to our advantage to reallocate some funds to that line so that we have more of a 25% match, so that we get more of a 75, so that we make sure that the things that we tore up does get repaid?
that's something we can do once we know we're getting the grant, or is that something?
Now you have to tell where the money's coming from before you do it. So I saved all of our money, Julie said it was 70,000 from last year, 2020. 50, just 50, okay, 50 from last year, and then do we have 50 allocated this year, so another 50, so 100,000, so we could do $400,000 worth of work with the amount we currently have saved up, but I agree with what Brian said, even if you contributed $25,000 or $50,000, at 4 to 1, you know, the return is pretty significant.
How much are we returning now on the 2 line items that we added that we get? Those are from the wheel tax, right?
Oh, that goes into MDH,
And we can't use that from there.
right, but we just started getting it. I don't know, we're at like 10,000. Right now.
So when do we have to make that decision? I mean, this is what, April? You gotta apply in June.
Yeah.
June,
So
so
how long does it take before you hear back from them whether we can qualify for the grant or not?
Probably about 2 months.
So theoretically, we could maybe get some painting done before winter strikes again this year.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's see what the last things were here. We do have a spring cleanup week, which will be April 25th through May 2nd, where residents can place lawn debris out by the curb. We'll have a dumpster day at the end of that week on Saturday, May 2nd from 9 till noon, and that will be again at the wastewater treatment plant. Guess Heart of Hagerstown wasn't here to discuss the.
He's beside you.
Gary.
Really quiet back there. Services.
Did not have anything back on fire grant. Julia, have you seen anything?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Put a bug out one of them.
The last, our utility department crews have had several locates called in from Miller Pipeline, with Center Point Energy. It's been kind of chaotic, that has been. And then I also put a copy of that appraisal out there if you guys want to look at that.
The property on South Ferry,
The
right?
property on South Prairie, yeah. Did you have any other questions for me about my report?
The catwalk thing that for, Yeah. What's the update on that?
See, that's one thing I think we probably need to discuss at our work session, because there's really three options there that we could do. Cheap and we got what's expensive and possibly a land burn thing. I want to look into that. Retaining walls possibly. I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a cheap solution would be to just remove the covers, but we also invest a lot of money in those. So, yeah, I think that'd be a good thing for the work session, maybe to discuss more.
Okay. And then my last thing was just a tidbit. You touched on it with the employees replacing the water valve at the tower. And that was also the same day of some other stuff too, right?
Yeah, when they were, Indiana Forks had all the water lines shut down on the south side of town that day, and they were disconnecting the old water lines and capping those off. Because up until then, we had, the new water lines and the old water lines were all active at the same time. And Luke came into my office today and he said, as far as our water consumption, you know, we were having a substantial water loss. He said, we're now about 50% of what we were water loss wise, which that is really good. So.
And that was also when they had the leak up here too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that happened late in the afternoon. Trying to keep the south side all down and keep everyone on the north side. And the fire hydrants opened, everything, trying to relieve pressure and, yeah, it blew right down there.
The only point that I get to is just I did want to make sure that our employees are recognized that you guys did a good job that day.
It was a stressful day. It's a stressful week.
Yeah, sounds like that was I'll say the explicits, a really bad day for our employees. I think we had a meeting in here that evening and got to talk to a few of them. And so I just want to make sure that they're recognized for their hard work. So I know that was a bad day for them.
We have a day like that every 2 or 3 years, one day, and it's just where everything breaks loose. So,
yeah.
I say it was very fortunate too, because if you I think you recall at that meeting, you said that Indiana Earthworks had just finished a project. We were able to convert them into that, so that gave us.
we were able to move them right away.
And then the issue you mentioned where the one house, they thought the Service Connect came in off of Washington and it didn't. That happened to be a family member and they were very happy about how fast you restored their water service.
Good. Okay, good. Well, yeah, we've discovered some really interesting water scenarios as far as where water lines run underneath other. We have one water line that runs under a church to someone's house and all kinds of stuff. The water service lines there. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things in the town. So, Bob, you want to add to that?
Well, I will add, we are getting as-built, so all this would be documented for the future. But just to go on a little bit more, as Chris said, the underground work is all completed unless there's still somebody out there who doesn't have water and they haven't called us yet. So that would be the only other underground. The crews are working on the landscaping around the pits and so forth. Another crew is working on forming up the curbs that have been torn out to like put fire hydrants in, things like that. So there's little sections that they're working on around. And then once they get all of that, those curves in, then they'll be working on the asphalt, which should be within the next couple of weeks that we're getting the asphalt on the north side and all the patches on the south side that they had to do. Today, Miller Pipeline did the gas tie-in at the East Booster Station. They tied into their line. It still has to be tied into the generator. And that East Booster Station will be completed. The high school booster station, the work was done over spring break, coordinate with the school, so it was back up and running by the weekend, so that seemed to work fairly well. So everything still moving along, but hopefully in a few more weeks, it'll be completed. That's the goal.
So Bob, you might not be able to answer this, but they're on the very east intersection where the gas line come in. They had to tear out a lot of sidewalk to get that one valve in. So whose responsibility is to replace that sidewalk that they took out?
Where exactly are you talking about on?
You know where Larry Black's
Yeah,
at?
second 138 there, yeah.
Yeah, right on, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a,
Just
you,
east of his house.
yeah,
That's nothing to do with the water.
that's what I'm saying.
All
So,
gas.
so is the gas company going to rebuild that concrete? I mean, they tore that.
It's their responsibility, yes. It's just like in the water line where we've torn out sections of sidewalk, they're going back and replacing those. So,
Well, if you're talking right on the intersection, that's the state's jurisdiction, right? If it-
he's talking about just east of that house on behind the sidewalk.
Yeah, east, so, the garage that's down the hill there, I mean, it's between that house and there's,
Little Anderson had his
yes.
windmills, yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge hole there and a pretty good section of the sidewalk gone.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I think they've actually destroyed, or altered the handicap crossing there too, which they gotta get that back to state.
Yeah, and
Codes.
that's been a problematic drainage issue right there in the past too, so they've got to make sure they get that done right. We've got to make sure they get it done right.
Change order of over, or right at 17,000. Where's that, what's the change order on that sheet that we got? For the invoice,
Okay,
there's a change order down here for $16,800. Do you know what that was?
that was for when on Ferry Street, when we were coming down the west side of the street. And that we found the force main there that comes from over by Precision Wire between there and the hardware store. The new water line was running right next to where the force main was. You can't have that. You have to have 10 foot of separation. But nobody knew where the force main was, it actually ends up coming through the alley, then up Perry, then down Clay and dumps in there at Clay. So Brian and Alan came out and looked at it with us. We went to the other side of the street, but we had already dug up the asphalt, go down through there, and they started laying the line. And so we had to abandon 30 or 40 feet through there and went across on the other side and then back over. So that was the work for that change order.
I asked him to throw that in for free, but it didn't happen.
You're saying we're nearing completion, like a couple weeks out, right?
Right?
I see a substantial balance left to spend, if I'm reading that correct, at the bottom, on the bottom line. Is that gonna be ate up in the next 2 weeks?
Well, a lot of that is paving, which is a few $100,000. We removed about 300,000 by not doing the fire hydrants and not doing this section on Jones Road. We have taken out about another 50 to 100,000 because we were able to shut down the south side. We didn't need the inserter valves and we didn't use some up by the high school. Now there's going to be some of that offset by some of what we had to do in other areas. But I mean, yes, we're going to end up spending the rest of where we should be at.
All right, I was just fishing for some money for some more paving. If it was related to this project, I would rather see if there's a balance left in here, then okay, then we're gonna go do 2 more blocks of quality paving on one of these streets. It'll be less that we'll have to apply for a grant for versus if we leave $100,000 in that account, I'd rather see $100,000 spent on additional paving. Not just patchwork paving, but paving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the community crossing.
Curbs like yours.
Yeah. If that money's available, if it can be used for that, I'm asking and fishing at the same time. That's a substantial amount of money left to be burned up in 2 weeks. Or 3 weeks or whatever.
Well, most of it is done. It's just the paving is the biggest chunk of
Okay.
that. I mean, the north side paving is going to be over $200,000 just in what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's,
Almost $1 million left, $970,000. That's a chunk of money. I didn't know. That's why I'm asking if we're gonna burn up $970,000 in 3 weeks.
I know the residents don't wanna hear this, but are we better off, or are we even able to? Instead of them just going and patching and spending, let's just say $250,000. Are we better off to, put up with the nuisance, and that's what it is, the nuisance? And can we just use that $200,000 to hedge the community grant? And just, I mean, we're gonna patch it, we're gonna spend $250,000 and patch it. Then in August, we're gonna come by and we're gonna grind it off and we're gonna resurface it.
It's 8 inches thick. What you're grinding off is 1.5 inches. So you need that base under it, so they're gonna have to do that at some point.
Okay.
You need the asphalt in that patch.
Okay.
So somebody has to do that. If you tell the other crew they're gonna have to do that, that makes it a lot more expensive for them just to go at 6 foot wide by 8 inch deep.
Different type of asphalt.
Yeah, it's a different base course instead of surface course. So, yes, I mean, that's a difficult question to answer if you want to. And that's assuming you get the community crossings, it's not a guarantee.
Right.
And didn't they say that this year those were gonna be a little bit more competitive too?
There's only one round this year, so 2 rounds.
And Bob, a concern that I have, and we talked about it very briefly at our work session, the East Booster Station. Are there any plans to protect that in any way since it's so close to the road? I know it actually sits in the right of way, but if somebody was to run off the road and hit that and knock it out of service.
There's nothing on the plans that shows bollards there, but I think bollards or something would be good.
And at some point, it probably needs to be secured with a fence so some kids don't mess with it. Cause the one up here at the school is behind that fence. But I just have a concern about it just being out in the open like it is. It's so close to the road.
I mean, it would require state approval to
Right.
put a fence up there.
Right.
But if they would approve it, it could be done. Again, it's not in the
Right,
existing
I
project.
understand that. Something to look forward or look to for the future.
Yes.
And then I assume, Chris, the appraisal will be brought for us. We can't do anything until we get the appraisal from the other property side. Any questions, comments for Chris? George, what do you have from the best folks?
We have 2 invoices for the water project. Water engineer, $4,350, and then earthworks, $122,032.35. That means
Move to approve both.
From properly moved and seconded to approve the invoices for the water project for this month. One to Warner Engineering for $43.50. The other one to Indiana Earthworks for $122.32 and 35 cents. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Next regular council meeting will be Monday, May the 4th at 6:30 p.m. Everybody had a chance to review the claims.
Okay, approved. Second.
So properly moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
So properly moved and seconded we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.